Hello, welcome back to another episode. Today I want to talk about silkscreen screen printing screens. Bit of a tongue twister, but I want to just show you how they're constructed, what to look for and where I started. And later on in other episodes we can go through the process of applying emulsion, we can clean, degrease, burn, but enough of that, I'll let you get on with it and enjoy the video. So, this is it. This is a screen. This is a screen printing screen. This is the one that I started with. So it's actually quite small. I've actually brought my tape measure out here just to give you a bit of an idea so you can see the size. Okay. So this screen is about 250 internally by about 350. So that's what size you're looking at. You know, you've got an A4 size sheet of paper that basically fits inside here. That's the size. It's just made up of an aluminium housing, which is then glued the mesh onto there, which is 110 mesh. That can vary. You can get lower than that, which allows more ink to go in, or you can get higher than that, which actually requires a little bit more effort to get that ink through, but you can get a higher level of detail. So this is your screen printing screen. It's a fairly small one, and this can be utilised for small patterns. I actually put this pattern here. How I actually made this shot is with one of these screens. You can actually see a little bit of haze in the background of the screen. You might be able to just see it. It's a little bit the haze of a previous design that I made, but that doesn't matter because the ink can still go through that. This is a great handy starter. They're reasonably cheap. And I recommend going with an aluminium because it doesn't absorb the ink and the plastisol and everything else, and they're a little bit easier to clean. I outgrew this fairly fast. It was just too small. You know, the images really have to be centralised and they can't go too close to the edges. When you're pushing down on the actual mesh, it actually distorts. So you push down and the closer your image is to the edge, well, that actually doesn't get pushed down. You're actually going to have to apply a lot more pressure to push that down, causing a little bit of an issue of pushing too much ink in and actually squeezing it out. You know, you really want to centralise it and have a nice piece of force rather than sort of pushing down on it. So that's that screen. That's what that's what I began with, and I've got 5 of those there, reasonably cheap. I think they were under $100. So now what I've moved on to is this screen. So this screen actually has emulsion on it. So this has actually been emulsion. I don't coat it side to side because I don't have to. I think if I coated it side to side, I'd be wasting emulsion, and you really want to try and save as much emulsion as possible. But just for perspective, this is the size. So it's about a 430 by, sorry, I'll just put it down. It's a 430 internally by a 535. I think it's 20" by 24" screen. This is what I'm using at the moment. Really handy because as you can see, this does a large, you can have a nice print here, and then also if you wanted to, you can flip it around and put another image there, so you could actually be getting 2 designs on the one screen. Or also what you could do is you could actually have a chest design or a back design as well as a little crest logo there, you know. Or you could actually have the design that just goes at the neck there. You know, you could have the neck design here, and then you could have the chest design when you turn it around. You know, there's a lot of ways that you can actually utilise it, and it's really up to you. I can have a design on the shirt that wraps around as far as I can get it on there, really. You know, it's up to you. But this screen is something I can't get past. It's fantastic. It's probably the size that I'll stick with. And again, that's the 20 by 24" screen. I recommend that. You know, a little bit more expensive for the larger one, but it's always good to have them on hand if you ever wanted to do, say, business cards, because you can screen print business cards, or you can screen print on anything. You can screen print on tote bags. It's amazing the amount of things that you can do with screen printing. But this is an emulsion screen. It is actually dried. And I've just used this as an idea of what it looks like when it's actually emulsion. So what we do to emulsion the screen is we get a scoop coater, we put our emulsion in there, put it at the bottom, we drag it up, and then we flip it around and do it the other way. I will go through that more in detail, but that's the premise of it. I just want to show you screens and get an idea of what screens look like, what they do, how they're constructed. As you can see, this screen's a lot better to see how they're actually constructed. Aluminium frame, and then also the mesh is actually stretched over the top to fairly tight, 17 to 20 Newton meters of actually tension on there, like a drum. Once you start losing that, then you actually start to suffer when you're actually pushing the ink through. The tension there, make sure that it's nice and open, and then when you push it, hold that tension as you're actually going through. As if you were losing that tension, you started to try and push through, you like try to push ink through a soggy salt. It's not going to work. If you hold it nice and tight and you try and push it through, a bit easier. As you can see, aluminium construction, it's stretched over the top, and then a glue is applied to the outside, and also a little bit of gel was put on the inside to stop any solvents getting in there and to start pulling away the mesh from the screen. So that actual red part there is to stop things getting under there and causing the actual mesh to pull away from the aluminium screen, which is kind of nice. But these are relatively cheap. You can pick these up, you know, I think you can pick up 5 for 150 bucks, easy, you know. But start with the smaller ones, see if you like it. If you do, pick yourself up some bigger ones and start having a mess around. This is a design, this has actually been exposed to light, this emulsion. So what's happened is there has been light applied to this without anything blocking the light. So light has been able to get to 100% of this emulsion. What we've done with this one is we've actually printed out on a transparency film, which is see-through, and we've printed black ink on there in these areas. That black ink stops the light from actually getting to the emulsion. So the areas that don't have any black will then go hard, and the part that has the black and stops the light hitting the emulsion will then stay soft. Then we can use water to slowly but surely start breaking down that soft emulsion, and then we're left with the image. Now we're left with the image, which is exactly what we want. This here, you know, this is ready. It's still a little wet, but you can see that it's actually holding up fairly well. We've actually got some crisp lines there, which is good, and that's how we can tell if it's been exposed properly. We don't see the breakdown of the actual numbers, and we don't see a breakdown of the lines. Registration marks are actually quite large. They don't have to be that big, but I've just put it on there, doesn't really matter. And you can see some hazing from previous jobs that I've done. It doesn't matter. The actual ink can still go through that. And there are products to get rid of it. Of course, there are always products. If there's a money to be made, someone will be making it. But again, same construction, aluminium, nice. I've just got a few markers on there to sort of see where the middle is. Not that it really matters, but it just gives you some reference. So that's my screen. 110 mesh is a really good starting point. And it can go, you know, quite large, quite small, but what we should do is start with the basics and just get yourself entry level 110 mesh, nice small screen, and then we can go from there. Awesome, there we go. A little bit of knowledge on how they're constructed, where I started, and what to buy. I generally recommend 110 mesh, be it large or small screen, just to get you started. But in the next episode, we'll go through the process of washing, degreasing, and then applying emulsion to the screen to start our journey towards putting on ink on a shot. But until then, can't wait to see you again. Get out of here.